Dank times, Danker thoughts, sweet vibes and taking it sleazy. The dankness is taking over, nonsense is dancing through his mind. Oh, the dankness is taking over. Dank times, Danker thoughts with Angelo Grosso.
What up, what up, what up? It's me, Angelo. Hope you all didn't miss me because I was gone for a little bit of extended amount of time. At least I felt like it has been. Been dealing with some family stuff, of course, as I talked about in the last podcast. And still got some family in town, although some have left, some are staying for a little bit longer. And right off the top of the bat, speaking of family, I have to issue a correction and, dare I say, a apology to my late deceased uncle, who was the man I spent some time about last podcast just filleting and really throwing him over the coals and fucking him up a little bit, ruin his reputation with y'all, even though I don't even know the guy. But apparently, I misspoke about how awful and evil he was. My whole life, I was told he was a pile of garbage. And I believed that up until the last podcast. And so after I recorded and posted it, I saw some family who I haven't seen in a while. And I just kind of wanted to get a better picture of my deceased aunt and her life. You know, it's all about remembrance, you know, in memoriam, if you will. And surely or not, I was getting conflicting reports over this man that I thought brutalized her up until his own death. But it turns out, well, that's what some people thought, but over time, as the family would talk and clarify things, he wasn't a good or a great guy, but he wasn't the monster that I made him out to be. And I learned that he never, to anyone's knowledge at least, hit my aunt. So I spoke out of turn on that. I can't speak to how he was as a father, nor can I speak to him as a husband. I can't. I know my aunt had her own mental issues, which led her to have issues with her children, my cousins. And so it gets a little muddled. Not to mention the husband died, I believe he died in the 80s. And I didn't know this, but he was a lot older than my aunt. My aunt got married, I believe, when she was 19. I don't think she had a high school diploma. And he was, I believe, almost 30. Or he may have been 30, but it doesn't matter. Either way, I thought I had the correct information. I thought I was going off of information that was accurate based on history that was told to me my whole life by multiple family members. It wasn't just one or two people. But I will say that a few family members still spoke poorly of him. So what I'm left with is a very frail description of a character that was long dead before I was even born. And so I have to wonder, is there any level of importance for me to figure out this man? Gene was his name? Not really. It's more or less a side note to me better understanding my deceased aunt, who I never really had a great relationship with her, but not a lot of people did, because she had her mental illnesses. Hey, LaFonda, thanks for making an appearance, as I was getting heartfelt. So even talking to her children, my two cousins, they would speak warmly of their mother, but it still was, you know, she was the way she was, and sometimes she was a burden, sometimes she wasn't, which is understandable. Currently, I'm dealing with my own parental health issues with my father and mother, and I am starting to see, well, you know, I don't know how much time I have left with them before they become a level of a burden to me. Not like they're going to be a negative burden to me. I'm just saying they will be a burden. I will have to devote even more time than I currently do. It may have to get more into the financials of things. I may have to take things up with lawyers in terms of wills and power of attorneys, and hell, worst case scenario, one or both of them may have to move in with me. Oh God, that's a reality TV show. And I was talking to some of my cousins and second cousins about this over the weekend, because I had an ulterior motive at this family gathering over the weekend beyond, praising and talking about and just, reminiscing about the deceased. I wanted to talk to some of these family members that I don't get to see very much in person. Sure, some of them I talk to either a lot or sparingly through social media, but face to face, not so much. And I've talked about it before, but my cousins are all in their 50s. And so I don't have a lot of things in common with them. I'm 35. That's a big difference. LaFonda, what? Do you want to put your 2 cents in on this? Okay. And so because of that age discrepancy between me and my cousins, I'm more closer in age to their kids. But even then, their kids, even the oldest, I believe, is 26, 27. So, again, what do I have in common with someone I barely see that's in their a lot of them are in their early 20s. And I definitely don't have much in common with these early 20-year-olds. No matter what the dating app says. All right, LaFonda, calm down. But, what I wanted to do was talk to the younger generation about what do we want to do when the shit hits the fan with some of these older relatives that we have. Because I look at my mom, I look at my uncle, I look at a few of my other aunts, and not to be macabre, but I don't know how much time some of these people have left. We need to help one another, or do you even want to help one another? That was something else I wanted to know. And really, I just wanted to gauge their interest of how much investment do you want to have with family? Do you want to get together a few times a year like we did when we were kids? Was that important to you? Do you want to just say, fuck it, I got my own life going on. I don't mind meeting for a funeral or a wedding or something, but just getting together for shits and giggles or because it's Thanksgiving, that's not my bag, which is fine, no judgment. But I at least want to, extend an olive branch to some of these people because, I'm talking to one of my cousins, and he's got 3 kids, and they're all over the place, but all of them seem like, yeah, let's do something. And I think at the bare minimum, a nice email thread or Facebook, Instagram thread, something so we can keep each other abreast of things. And I know I've talked about it before, but LaFonda, you're driving me nuts here. One of the main reasons I bought this gargantuan of a mistake of a house is that I wanted to host. I wanted to be the house where family could congregate for Christmases, Thanksgivings, birthdays, weddings, you name it. Because to my knowledge, none of my cousins or my second cousins have a house like this. And if they do, I'm in Auburn, which is kind of in the middle for a lot of people. And I brought that up, and some of my family were really excited about it. No one in my family, besides my father and mother, of course, have even seen my house. They may have seen pictures, but that's about it. So there was a lot of positive things that came out of the 2 days I spent with family. And one of them was there is a fresh renewal of interest in one another because for whatever reason, we're just not that close. My opinion on the reason why is the age discrepancy. I don't have much in common with my 50, 48, 55-year-old cousins. I just don't. We may be able to talk about sports or something, but that's about it. I can't really talk to them about what life is like because there's, a 15-year difference, if not more. And with my second cousins, they're in college or they just got out of college. They're trying to figure their own lives out. And one of the main reasons when I was their age that we got together was to see the grandparents before they pass. And once all the grandparents passed away, we stopped getting together. I take that back. We got together one time after the last grandparent died, my lovely grandfather, who I miss almost every day. We got together at one person's house, and it was fun, but for whatever reason, we never did it again. So I was excited about some of the interest in that. of keeping in touch. And I've even gotten invited to weddings that I didn't know were happening. One of my second cousins is getting married in a few weeks, and I didn't know. And I was telling her, why didn't you tell me anything? Well, we're keeping it small. And she has, I believe she has anxiety issues. So I understand why she maybe not want to share it a lot. She doesn't, she's not a very talkative person. So, but she did invite me, and I kind of reconnected with her mother, my cousin. And I reconnected with some other second cousins and some extended family members. And it really seems like, at least for now, the interest is there. And we just have to take that next step of actually following through. So I'm going to see some of my family in a couple weeks for the wedding. Not as much as we just did, of course. But still, that's baby steps in the right direction, I would say. Overall, I'm really excited that I saw my family. I was a little anxious and nervous before because I haven't seen these people in a long time. And I don't know what they think of me. I'm friends with the majority of them on social media, but all I do on Facebook is post funny memes or political memes because apparently I'm a boomer at heart. And the few that I'm friends with on Instagram, we don't talk a lot, but still. But of course, all of my misgivings were for naught because once I had a few of my favorite drinks in me, the old-fashioned Manhattans. By the way, I had 3 of those fucking things. And I didn't even feel tipsy, but they were so good. By the way, I drank some amazing drinks and ate some amazing meals over the 2 days I spent with family, which was last Friday and Saturday in Edmonds. Side note, I decided, why don't I just get a hotel? Because there's no point in me driving from Auburn to Edmonds on Friday evening just for a quick dinner and dessert and drinks with some visiting family. It was a small gathering, only 4 of us. Because one of them came from Oregon and my aunt and uncle came from Colorado. And so I thought, well, I haven't seen them in years. So I want to have some time with them. And so instead of driving back to Auburn after that, to only head back out to Edmonds the next afternoon for the actual big family get-together, I thought, fuck it. Let me have a little mini vacation, get myself a decent hotel out in Edmonds, and just kind of have some fun time out there. And I got to tell you, the Best Western was okay. There was a lot of stains in the hotel room. Nothing dirty like cum or blood stains or anything, or shit stains, but it looked like a lot of coffee burns. And on the ottoman, it was a pot, and you just put it on top of this and just let it sit there, and you burn the cushion. I don't know what to tell you. The bed was comfy. I had a hell of a time finding an outlet for my phone charger. The continental breakfast in the morning was decent. The sausage was so fucking salty, but I understand. That's a hotel. People are visiting from out of town. A lot of those fat fucks like salty food. I get it. The eggs were okay. I can't really complain about the food or the amenities. I got to watch the Mariner game. I saw them beat, was it the Houston Astros or the Diamondbacks game? I saw one of those games. It was the Arizona game. It was the only game we won that fucking series. Come on, Seattle. You lose 2 out of 3 to Arizona, and then you beat Boston. No, this team makes no sense. They had HBO and Showtime. It was just kind of fun to head over there, kind of abuse that room because it's not my room. I can do whatever I want. I could come on the curtains for all I care. Met up with my family, had a few drinks. I walked back to the room, and I wanted to go swimming at night, and it was 9 o'clock at night, and I thought, surely there's going to be nobody at the pool and jacuzzi. One of the main reasons I stayed at this hotel was because they had the breakfast, the pool and jacuzzi, and they had a gym. Well, first off, the gym, when I got there, she said, well, we only allow people in if it's approved by us, and there's only 2 machines because I'm like, I get it, don't worry about it. But I was so looking forward to taking that late night chill in the jacuzzi. Boy, oh boy, how wrong was I. I didn't even open the door to the pool. I must have saw 20 kids running around, jumping in the pool, just screaming bloody murder. They all must have been, elementary school kids, middle school kids. What do you expect? But then I thought, well, let me peek around the corner to the jacuzzi. There's all their fat family members. And I don't know if these people were Samoan, Hispanic, I don't know. But they were dark and giant people. And hairy. I could see all of this through the lights they had, and I thought, I ain't trying to get a hairball in the jacuzzi. And I know for certain none of these fat fucks are wearing a mask or social distancing out here. Why would you? Why would you? So I said, hell with it. Let me just go up to the hotel room, get fucking high, watch Futurama and River Monsters, maybe knock one out because it's not my sheets, And that's exactly what I did. I didn't sleep all that well, but I slept well enough so that I could fully enjoy the family get-together the next day, which I did, but we already talked about that. I need to point out, though, that Friday, I went to a restaurant in Edmonds called Calypso. Strongly recommend it. Really good. They had cheap Singapore slings. I think I had 3 of those things. And their coconut prawns were excellent. I ordered their bacon and vegetable scallops, which was excellent. They had jalapeno cornbread with some kind of honey butter sauce. Oh, my mouth is watering just thinking about that. I know, LaFonda, you want some too. Saturday morning, I met up with the same people I did Friday evening. And we got brunch at this restaurant that I've wanted to go to whenever I go into Edmonds. I've always wanted to go, but it's never worked out. But now I'm drawing a blank on the name. So let me pull up my map history here. It was called Epulo Bistro. It's Epulo, however you pronounce that. And I tell you, the service was questionable, and they forgot some of the things I added to my food, but the actual food itself and the coffee and the ambiance, excellent. A+. A+. Well, maybe not A+, I forgot. The sweet potato fries and the regular fries were so goddamn salty they were almost unedible until you kind of poured whatever aioli sauce they had. But their breakfast sandwich that I had, oh my god. I wanted to stick my dick in it. It was so good. The coffee was dope. Now, before the brunch, I did go walk around Edmonds a little bit because I wanted to get a good latte. And there was a place called Walnut Street Cafe, something like that. The coffee was good. But it was a little bit too hipstery for me in there. And here's why I ended up getting brunch with my family, because we weren't scheduled to, but I brought it up because this place only had vegetarian food options. No. Not in my country. Have a vegetarian option, but don't exclusively have that, and don't put it in your name or the description of the place online, because if I would have looked online and saw that the Walnut Street Cafe is a vegetarian durka, I would have said good for them, but not for me. I got a little pissy because it was 8 in the morning, and I said, you only have vegetable sausage in your burrito and sandwiches? Yeah, is that a problem with you? And I said, just give me the triple vanilla latte breve, bitch, and I'm out of here. But I couldn't get too upset. I was wearing my Tom Segura Your Mom's House podcast t-shirt, and everyone in the cafe that was working there got the reference. Oh, we love the podcast. It's great. We listen to it at work when we can. So I said, all right, you veggie fucks, I'm out of here, but thank you. So that's why I ended up getting brunch, because I was starving. And then we went to the Edmonds Art Gallery, which I don't know if it's an amazing gallery, but I enjoy it every time I go to Edmonds. This time, it was Pacific Northwest. Oh, what style of art? Oh, hold on, I think I have the brochure. Well, I don't have it, I lied. It's not Pacific Northwest Impressionism. It's not Pacific Northwest Expressionism. Oh, what can I think of art styles, especially my favorite art style? It's the one that is a bunch of shit on the canvas and you kind of make up what it means. Abstract, son of a fucking bitch. I am so stupid sometimes. So, it was Pacific Northwest abstract art, and it was amazingly brilliant. I loved it. And then we had our family get together. So, Friday and Saturday, enormously fun. Enormously. Yeah, it was sad because we were there to honor someone that died, but, we didn't really do a lot of that, unfortunately. We did a little bit, but everyone was just excited to see each other and excited to have a good meal and to chit-chat, catch up, and whatever. We really didn't even have a moment of silence. And a lot of my family are pretty spiritual people, and not one prayer was done, to my knowledge. But then again, I did have 3 old-fashioned Manhattans, so fuck if I know. By the way, where did we go? Was it Scott's Bar and Grill? Very good. They took damn good care of us, and the food was excellent. I had a smoked salmon chowder, which just soaked up all the booze. And I don't think I had dessert or appetizers there. I didn't think I even have any of the bread. It was just the soup, but it was excellent. And then afterwards, we went to my cousin's house to watch UW get fucking schooled by Harbaugh in Michigan. I don't know what the problem with UW is, but that's a whole other topic. I can't get into. This is family. We had pizza. We had drinks. I think I killed whatever Jack Daniels they had there. We watched a full Husky game. And it was just fun. We haven't done that in a long time. They had a 2-year-old female bull mastiff. That dog is fucking huge. And I tried so hard to win that dog over. I think by the end of the night, she still had a little bit of distrust. But I was playing with her. I gave her treats. She did sit by me the entire time. And she even put her giant jowls on top of my shoe and just got it all slobbery. So maybe I did win her over. But maybe I don't understand bull mastiff temperament. But I love that fucking dog. So, anyway, enough about all the family bullshit. Let's move on to some fun stuff. I had to eat dinner there, and then I had a very long phone call with my father about... What the hell was it about? It started off with the Mariners blowing another game against Boston. And then we started... we were talking about nature and how cruel it is. That's how my father and I talk. I'm high... And he asks me a question, and then somehow we start talking about the cruelty of nature and man. It's a great conversation. I should really start recording them. I think probably play those conversations in Guantanamo Bay and make anybody squeal. Let me get some quick politics out of the way. This week, I'll just cover one big story, which is the President Joe Biden's vaccine mandate for federal employees, and I think for some businesses that have over 100 employees, something? I don't know. Let me pull it up here on the AP News. In his most forceful pandemic actions and words yet, President Joe Biden ordered sweeping new federal vaccine requirements for as many as 100 million Americans, private sector employees, as well as healthcare workers and federal contractors, in an all-out effort to curb the surging COVID-19 Delta variant. Speaking at the White House, blah, 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 and I quote, "We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us. The unvaccinated minority can cause a lot of damage, and they are. The expansive rules mandate that all employers with more than 100 workers require them to be vaccinated or test for the virus weekly, affecting about 80 million Americans, and the roughly 17 million workers at health facilities that receive federal Medicare or Medicaid also will have to be fully vaccinated. Biden is also requiring vaccination for employees of the executive branch and contractors who do business with the federal government with no option to test out. That covers several million more." My opinion is I can see why in this country we'd see this as a little bit too far, a little bit government overreach. But I would challenge you, look at how some of our allies around the world are dealing with COVID restrictions and mandates. If you look at France, you look at Germany, Japan, Australia, I mean, that's got some crazy restrictions. You just look at how, not good we have it, but how loose our restrictions are and how we don't really like the term mandate here because we're a bunch of selfish fucks. We tend to be anyway. But they've had mandates over in Europe and Asia for the entire time. And if you wonder, well, why don't they have the amount of cases, the amount of new variant cases, and as we do when you factor in populations, of course? Well, it's because the government is telling them to do something, and the people that are against that are so much in the minority that they can't really make that much of a negative difference. They can in some areas, there has been, but not so much like it is in America, where the minority of people who don't believe in the vaccine, they have an outlet. And so much of our media, which I don't know why that's legal, spreading misinformation like this when it comes from a news agency. specifically a news agency, if you go on a podcast and some jabroni like Alex Jones is talking nonsense, well, that's not news. It's a podcast. He's a conspiracy theorist. But if it's CNN or Fox News, you just have to question, well, no wonder we're having the outbreaks that we are. So, personally, I don't have a problem with this mandate, but I'm also trusting of the vaccine. Now, I have listened to a lot of, not so much anti-vaxxers, but just people who are wary of the vaccine overall, and they just want to know more information, or they want to look at alternative methods because they bring up the evilness of the pharmaceutical companies and the greed. And I can't really fault them for thinking that way because I believe in that as well. For sure, the pharmaceutical companies are doing everything they can to make as much money as possible off of this pandemic. Of course they are. But I'm sorry, but my 2 Moderna shots definitely help me. And if they want me to get a booster, I'll talk to my doctors, who I trust, and they can either tell me yes or no. And if they tell me yes, I won't have an issue getting it. And if I go to my doctor and they want me to take that ivermectin or whatnot, I'll take that too. I will trust the experts. I'm not going to trust the media, and I'm not going to trust some fucking jabroni on social media or on YouTube just spouting nonsense because he read something and now that makes perfect sense. Why is everyone such a dumb sheep? I just don't understand why people just can't look past themselves and their own selfishness and say, you know what? I have a lot of issues with this vaccine. But instead of making these snap judgments, these knee-jerk reactions, dare I say, my gut feeling, let me actually talk to professionals. I understand if you dislike or distrust Dr. Fauci. I'm starting to get to the point where I don't think he should be fired, but he definitely should be reassigned someplace out of public light, because it sure seemed like he's been lying to us this entire time about that gain of function. A couple of weeks ago, I played you the clip of he and Rand Paul fighting, and I am no fan of Rand Paul, but he was right to a certain extent that it sure does look like the U.S. government under Obama did not want money going to gain of function research, but yet the CDC, I believe it was the CDC, still said, well, we're still going to do it, and they gave Wuhan money. Now, I don't know if that was under Trump or Obama, but either way, that's where I could be wrong. See, I could be spreading misinformation here, but the fact remains, it sure looks like U.S. gave the Wuhan lab money for gain of research function. Now, does that mean that all these conspiracies are true? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it does bear the question, well, let's investigate further. Could we have had something to do indirectly, or let's hope not directly, with this COVID outbreak due to us giving the lab money? Could it have been we just gave money to an account and that account was dipped into by the Wuhan lab for a plenitude of projects? And maybe one of those projects could indirectly or directly be part of the COVID-19 outbreak. Maybe, but I don't think that's a huge fucking deal. I don't think heads should roll or anything, but at least we fucking know. But this whole idea that Fauci would not say yes, that we gave money to Wuhan lab for gain of research function, when he kept saying no, Rand Paul would read him his own definition of it that Fauci and the company wrote, and it was just ridiculous. Now, of course, Rand Paul now is wanting Fauci to be fired or go to jail or some bullshit. I'm totally against that. It's just more partisan nonsense. But I definitely think he should be sit down and said, we're going to take you off the news cycles for a little while. We're going to let someone else do your job because you're getting a little out of control. Especially when he said, if you go against me, you go against science. Oh, I'm sorry. I had no idea that Dr. Fauci was synonymous with science. I tell you, these paisans are just making it hard for me to have my love of Italian heritage. Fauci, Cuomo, Giuliani, de Blasio, oh my God. But you may think to yourself, well, surely the majority of the country is against this mandate. Well, not so much. 60% of Americans say they support President Biden's vaccine mandate, according to an Axios Ipsos poll. It went out of the poll. I don't know how many people were asked or surveyed, but I talked to a lot of people. I talked to a lot of my family members over the weekend. A lot of them are conservative. I don't know how many are, but I'm sure a few may have been Donald Trump supporters. I don't care. I don't look at them and have that sum up their entire character. I am not as shallow as that. Or as, dare I say, boomery. Like I'm afraid some of my generation is becoming. Oh, who'd you vote for? Oh, then you're absolutely all of these things. If you're under 40 and you say that, you're part of the problem. You're boomer junior. We don't need more of you. So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, so I talked to a lot of family members about this, and the majority were like, yeah, we get it. We get it. I don't know what's in the mandate. I don't like being told I have to do something, but we understand we have to get this under control. Now, I don't know if this mandate is going to actually make people forcibly get injections into their body that they don't want. I don't think that's happening. But you got to get something. Now, again, if it's one of the vaccines, fantastic. If you want to get ivermectin or that cocktail drink that Trump got, that Abbott got, DeSantis got, that's got baby fetuses part of it, stem cells in there, I mean, that's fine. Whatever. I don't give a fuck. But we got to get this under control, people. I already bought my Halloween costume, okay? I want to start going to movie theaters again and concerts and not having to worry about masks or how close am I sitting to people or, oh God, is this business going to close that I love because they can't stay open because they can't have customers because fucking assholes aren't getting vaccinated. Now we have a fucking third or fourth variant going out there, which, again, one of their talking points, these anti-vax people, is that the vaccine doesn't make you immune to COVID. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Nothing does. When you get your flu shot, that's not guaranteeing you won't get the flu. It just means that if you get the flu, you have a damn good chance of having a very light, quick flu. And it does help you drastically not get the flu. Whereas I'm fairly certain that I've been around a lot of people since I got my both vaccinations, and I haven't even had the sniffles. And I've been around a lot of people who have had it or have later gotten it, no masks, with masks. It doesn't fucking matter. I've been around a lot of people having had it once because I've been vaccinated. Now, do I believe that I'll never get COVID? I expect to get COVID. These variants are getting the vaccinated as well, but too fucking bad. That's what happens. Viruses change based on not only the vaccines, but also the unvaccinated. Shit gets mutated. So that's my that's my C+ in high school biology degree talking there. I don't really know. I'm just regurgitating what I've heard from experts who I deem as experts, but whatever. But let's move on. I didn't want to talk about politics too long, and I think I kept it pretty light. But let's move on to something that I thought about the other night when I couldn't sleep, and I think I could solve a lot of issues in this country with this idea. I was reading an article in the Seattle Times a couple days ago talking about what the fuck is Seattle doing with its policing. In summary, there was a 300-person shortage in Seattle of policemen, and they've since hired 100, so they're still down 200 or so. And I just saw today that they did not approve the additional funding for the police. Instead, they're going to use it for social services, which that's great as well. I'm all for it. But to me, I don't know why we can't do both. In one of the rare instances that I believe throwing money at something to fix it, I think the way to fix policing is to throw money at it, but not just write it a blank check and let them do it themselves, because we know that they will not do the right thing. I don't think there's a more corrupt union in the country than the policemen's union. Holy shit. That in one instance, I am against unions in that respect. However, I was thinking about the police shortage, not just in Seattle, but in a lot of major cities in the country. I thought of the nurse shortage, or just the healthcare shortages that are happening in this country. And they took another hit because a lot of them don't want to get the vaccine. And they're fighting the Biden mandate that I just spoke about. And I thought about the teacher shortages, and I thought about all of these things. dealing with some important jobs in the American community. Police, nurses, teachers, the three main ones, but there's a lot more. Federal workers, post office workers, you know. And I thought, what if you just said, okay, President Angelo speaking now, what if you just say, we're going to redo policing, we're going to redo education, we're going to redo the hospital sector, doctor sector, I don't know. And actually, not so much doctors, but healthcare sectors. We're going to make it have a starting minimum pay of $100,000 and have it be across the board. You could have it be for police, nurses, teachers, all federal workers, whatever. Make it a job worth wanting. Make it $100,000 annual salary. I don't think that exists in the world now. I don't think that a policeman's starting wage across the country is anywhere near $100,000, and I know for certain, definitely teachers aren't making that much. And the reason I say this is, if you pay a respectable wage that people can live on, odds are, if they're happier with their financial life, they tend to be happier at work, and they understand the importance of keeping that job. And also, if you coincide that $100,000 pay with benefits and I don't know if you can have a union. Well, yeah, the policemen are federal and they got unions. So you could have unions as well. And this is where you're going to have to make it kind of difficult to do these jobs, however. That's the trade-off. If you're giving policemen $100,000 a year starting, it should be hard, difficult to get these jobs. And when you get these jobs, you should have to go through continual training, exercise, mental therapy, physical therapy. If you're a police, you're going to have to be taught de-escalation. I would start bringing service workers along with policemen, and so that when you re-envision policing, police should not be the sole people in charge of the wide array of things that policemen are in charge of these days. That's why you have so many of them not doing good at their jobs, because they're stretched too thin as is. In my opinion, policing should be for crime, murder, rape, drug stuff, like the creation of drug selling. And when you're dealing with a mental issue, so like a homeless person who's nuts or domestic dispute, something like that, you should have a policeman there, but you should also have someone who's trained in the mental and the social work. You can give them a gun if you want to, because this is America after all, but their job should really be dealing with after rape cases, dealing with anything that involves children, dealing with anything that involves the mentally insane or homeless people. Now, if there's any kind of violence associated with what I just said, that's when you need to have policemen there as well. But there needs to be a give and take here. And I believe if you started to say to new policemen, wannabes, hey, we're going to give you $100,000 a year. We're going to give you a damn good union that's actually going to be good for everyone, not just the corruption. And we're actually going to teach you how to de-escalate and have you not look like you're a soldier in a fucking Star Wars movie just patrolling your route. I mean, I've talked a lot about this in previous podcasts, but to summarize it, I think if you get hired as a policeman, your first couple years, you need to stay where you're from. Meaning, if I'm born in Renton, Washington, and I get hired as a policeman, I should have to stay in the Renton Police Department. I could switch precincts, but I'm staying in Renton for a minimum of 3 to 5 years, just so I can, get my shit going and I know my community. And then if I want to keep going, you can get promoted to a bigger city or a bigger state, wherever, okay? You got to get rid of unqualified immunity. You got to have those dash cam footage on their footage that they have on their outfits. I'm drawing a blank, not the dash cam, that's the dashboard on their car, but the equivalent on their outfits. And, again, I don't know why we can't give the mass majority of policemen bullets that aren't killing people, but have them be rubber bullets so people get fucked up, and then you can arrest them. Now, you should have, of course, real bullets if there's like a fucking hostage situation or, you have something like the movie Heat happening down a freeway. I understand you can't just say across the board you can do all these things, but I believe if you make it harder to be a policeman, you have to have a college degree and police whatever. You know, when I was at Green River, they had degrees in the police field like history, psychology, all that shit. I didn't take any of it because I wasn't trying to be a police officer, but I thought it would be cool if you had to have that, and you have to have work experience somehow. You know, policemen are burdened with an incredibly difficult, dare I say, impossible job, the way that it's currently laid out. And people are disliking them, not just because of what's been happening lately in the media and the George Floyd protest and whatnot. I mean, the distrust in the police has always been around because outside of the racism or the sexism or the police brutality and all that stuff, you just put all of that aside and you look at a lot of them are just ways for the city to get revenue. So they're just writing bullshit tickets for nonsense or really doing these beefed up charges just so that they can make more money. And who does that usually affect? Low income people, people of color. The policeman should not also be told you need to hit 20 something tickets a week or else you're going to get written up. That's insanity. That's not part of their job, okay? So I really do think if you make it more difficult to be a police officer, better training, de-escalation training, psychology training, sociology training, all of these things, and have them work hand in hand with maybe a policing social services that's part of, it's a new part of police. I don't know, like a different section, but they work together. I don't know. Kind of like how the sheriff's office is different from the police, which is different than the road people. You know, the officers that control the road. What the fuck? You know, super troopers, those assholes. You can just have it be another one. Oh yeah, the ATF is a different one. Then you got the Texas Rangers. There's so many different kinds of policemen. There's private security. Then there's anyway. I could keep going. It's nonsense. But you could just create another one, have it be for social work. With guns, with policing, you know? I don't know. I think that'd be good. Because, again, I've read that where there has been this 50% police, 50% social workers, there's been a drastic change for the better in all of those cities when it comes to any kind of policing issues and anything that involves the homeless. It's always gotten better. Now, will that work everywhere? I don't fucking know. But my point being, better training, better pay, better benefits, you're gonna get a massively better outcome. In this one instance, Puff Daddy was wrong. Mo money ain't mo problems. I teased this last week, but we're gonna do it now, baby. After I reviewed Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, I said, you know what would be fun is if I rank my top 10 Marvel movies, because I don't know how you feel. I am a huge fan of the Marvel movies, the Marvel TV shows. That's because when I was a kid, I was a huge fan of the Marvel video games, TV shows. I, of course, had all the toys, and I spent most of my childhood Halloweens dressed up as either Marvel or DC characters. Even as I got older, I had a more appreciation for graphic novels of the same characters that I grew up loving, and now they were more adult and edgy. And I'm not gonna lie, for a couple of years I got involved in comic books again, primarily Deadpool. So I'm a huge fan of Marvel, and I understand when movie critics kind of shit on the superhero genre. I understand. I know where they're coming from, and they're not wrong in the sense that it's truly difficult to watch a superhero movie these days and see anything remotely hinting at something that's new and original. But saying all that, I love Marvel movies, and here's my top 10. And I may piss some of you off. I don't really give a fuck. Starting from number 10. And by the way, before I start, I spent probably too much time on this, and so I have them broken up into 3 categories. My top 10, my just missing the cut, and my biggest disappointments. And these are not all of the movies. I didn't put all of them in. These are just ones that came to mind. So the ones that I don't say on here, just say they kind of fit anywhere in between. missing the cut and the biggest disappointments. And this is only the movies. I'm not including the TV shows. So number 10, Guardians of the Galaxy number 2. Not nearly as fun as the first one, but I still really, really, really enjoyed it. I feel like they rushed a few things though, and I was a huge fan of Kurt Russell's Ergo the Living Planet, so I hope they bring back Ego, but I don't think they will. Number 9, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I like that movie that much. It's already in the top 10. Number 8, the first Avengers movie. Now, because we've had 4 Avengers movies, unless you count Civil War as kind of 4.5 or 5, this one is not as fun because we've seen some wild shit since then. But when this movie came out, it was huge. And this was probably the last movie I saw multiple times in the movie theater. So even though I would argue it hasn't aged poorly, but it's not as entertaining as some of the newer movies. However, I will still argue it is a huge point in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Number 7, the first Iron Man. Kind of the same thing with the first Avengers movie. It was amazing at its time. I loved it. I loved Jeff Bridges, but unfortunately he was another one and done villain. And honestly, if this movie would not have been the success it was, we would not have had any other Marvel movie. I truly believe that. Number 6, Captain America Civil War. Now, is this the 6th best overall Marvel movie? No. This movie's got a lot of problems, a lot of holes, and a lot of shit. But in pure engagement and entertainment, holy shit, I love this movie. And plus, I'm a sucker, baby. I like Team Cap versus Team Iron Man. I fell right into that shit. By the way, I am always Team Cap, baby. I don't give a fuck that he lied to Tony about Winter Soldier killing his parents. Sometimes you have to lie to the ones you love. Do I think eventually I would have told him? Yeah. But Tony should have known there was more to the story than that. And he's a smart man. How dare you attack Steve Rogers like that? Steve Rogers could have killed you and he didn't. So the Captain America Civil War, number 6. Number 5, Guardians of the Galaxy, number 1. I don't think that up to that point I saw a Marvel movie that was that much fun. Some of them tended to be too serious, or when they tried to be fun, they really weren't. But this was the first kind of out there, cosmic, psychedelic Marvel that became my favorite kind of Marvel movie, the favorite kind of theme. I love the director. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he just directed the Suicide Squad movie and the other Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Why can't I think of his name? He's an amazing director. When he got canceled, I was fucking furious. Thank God Marvel wisened up and hired him to do Guardians 3, even though that fucking firing postponed shit for a couple of years. Fucking cancel culture dicks. Number 4, Avengers Endgame. I love Endgame. Do I think they could have done a little bit more? Of course. But the movie was already, 3 hours long? And did I cringe every time I see that moment when all the female characters are there and they're just like, yeah, estrogen time? It's stupid. We don't shove that shit down our throats. This is a fucking fight. I don't give a fuck who's fighting. I want to see people fight. I don't want to spend too much time on Endgame because I could probably talk a good 40 minutes about how much I love Avengers Endgame. Same thing with number 3. This was hard putting this movie at number 3 because it was hard for me not having this number 2. Number 1's clear to me, but number 2 and 3 were very difficult. And number 3 is Thor Ragnarok. I fucking love this movie. I will say it is the most fun, entertaining, wacky, wild Marvel movie to date. And that includes both Guardians of the Galaxy movies. However, there would be no Thor Ragnarok without Guardians of the Galaxy, which is why the new Thor movie is going to have Guardians of the Galaxy in it, which is why the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie was going to have Thor in there. I love it. Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy go so well together when you put Hulk and Thor in space with Loki and Jeff Goldblum. What? You can watch that movie year fucking round. I've probably seen Thor Ragnarok 7 or 8 times. The same shit gets me every time. And Kate Blanchett is so fucking hot in that movie. Wow. Number 2, Avengers Infinity War. Oh, I cannot tell you how much better of a movie Avengers Infinity War really is. Most people probably look at Avengers Infinity War and think, that's just a action blockbuster. Yes, it is. But there's a lot of humanity to that movie. There's a lot of storylines that, some of these storylines took over a decade. And you're finally getting payoffs, and the payoffs are so good. And, man, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Avengers Infinity War. And then you fucking murk Loki right off the bat? I love Loki. Oh my god. And then you kill the Heimdall immediately after? I get it. Thor is the worst franchise in the Marvel Universe, but you're murking everybody. Thor Ragnarok just killed everyone. Oh man. I love Infinity War. I sob every single time Wanda has to kill Vision. Every single time. If I'm being open here, if I'm being open and honest, even in Avengers Endgame, whenever Tony says, and I'm Iron Man, I am just crying out of every hole in my body. And that continues until the ending of the movie. So kudos to you, Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, at redefining what Hollywood blockbuster means. But none of these movies that I just talked about hold a candle to Captain America, Winter Soldier. This is not only my favorite Marvel movie, my favorite superhero movie, but I would even say it's probably one of my favorite espionage mystery action movies. I hold it up there with the Jason Bourne movies, the James Bond movies. Even movies like The French Connection. People, I don't think you understand how genius this movie is, especially with the character Captain America. I understand for those of you that are not comic book fans and you see, oh, Captain America, oh, what a dumb fuck name. He's just too patriotic. He's probably a QAnon. No. Captain America against the U.S. government to clear the name of his best friend who's been brainwashed by the Russians. And what happened in Captain America Winter Soldier was something that rippled through so many Marvel movies that even after Endgame and Iron Man is dead and Captain America is retired, you still are feeling repercussions of some decisions that happened in Winter Soldier. And the action was something that a lot of Marvel movies took after this movie. I don't think they did a better job with Black Widow than they did in this movie. They redefined Captain America as a character. They redefined Bucky, Winter Soldier. They redefined S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, I could keep going. By far, the best Marvel movie, and dare I say, one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm not saying top 20, top 25. I would say Captain America Winter Soldier definitely is in my top 50 of all-time greatest movies. And the ones that are just missing the cut, Doctor Strange. Movie's kind of shit in a lot of areas, but I like the movie. I like when Doctor Strange went down that rabbit hole, and for about a 5-minute stretch, you were just tripping balls. Spider-Man Homecoming. As much as I've enjoyed Tom Holland's Spider-Man, the Spider-Man standalone movies, to me, have just been okay. They've been fun, and I love Spider-Man, don't get me wrong. I don't think you could have found a bigger Spider-Man fan than me when I was a child. But the current Spider-Man movies have just been kind of meh to me. But the Homecoming, in my opinion, has been the best one. I am excited for the new one coming out, No Way Home. But the second one, Far From Home, nah, meh. Iron Man 3. A lot of people shit on Iron Man 3. I don't know why they do it. I kind of enjoyed Iron Man 3. I like the twist with the Mandarin that Shang-Chi since corrected and fixed and blah, 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 blah. But as the movie overall, I like Iron Man 3. I like how he deals with PTSD, he deals with alcoholism, and I'm sorry, that Air Force One scene is amazing. Shane Black is an amazing director, and Marvel should bring him back to do other movies. And Ant-Man. Like Spider-Man, I enjoy the Ant-Man movies. I like Ant-Man in other people's movies, but his own movies have kind of just been meh. They're entertaining, I like Wasp. I like the villains. I like all that stuff. But overall, just like the Spider-Man movies, the Ant-Man movies have always kind of been a C to C plus. Now, the following 4 movies, well, really 5, are the biggest disappointments, meaning movies I was either super excited to see that I didn't enjoy one bit, or I don't get why they're hailed as great, or that I really had no expectations, but still the movies were shit. I would say Black Widow was a big disappointment. It was a decent movie, kind of, but I'll say the stereotypical cliche thing. It should have come out 10 years ago. It should have come out in phase 1. And honestly, no way. Whenever Iron Man 2 was, that's when it should have came out, around there. So I don't blame Scarlett Johansson for getting fucking pissed and suing Disney. She may say she's suing Disney because of the release in the movie theater and the streaming, blah, 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 blah. But no, they fucked you over, girl. They did. Both Thor movies, besides Ragnarok, I dislike both of them. Now, I know Thor: The Dark World is hailed as one of the worst Marvel movies, deservedly so, but I didn't enjoy the first one either. Now, these 2 movies, I was really excited to see. One of them is universally hated, I believe, by most people. The character I don't think is hated, but the movie itself, the movie's Captain Marvel. I was super excited for Captain Marvel. I like Brie Larson. I like her as a person. But the movie was fucking dumb. It was so stupid. Nothing really made sense. It felt like it was rushed. The music was trash. Now, some of the action was good, and I love Captain Marvel in the Avengers movies. All right, she was only in Endgame, right? No, she was in Infinity War. She was in Endgame, that's right. And I'm excited for what she's going to do in the future, but the movie itself was kind of trash, and I'm glad to see that most people kind of agree with that. But the one movie that may piss people off here that I'm going to say, and I'm going to close on this, was one of the biggest disappointments was Black Panther. I understand why this movie is seen as a milestone in the sense that there hasn't been a movie like this for a person of color, for a superhero. Now, Black Panther wasn't the first black superhero movie. We've had that before. But in the sense of world building and the magnitude of top tier talent you got and the investment of a franchise like Marvel into a person of color superhero movie, I understand why it's a milestone. I understand why it's important. Chadwick Boseman, excellent actor. Michael B. Jordan, hunka man, amazing actor. It kills me that they killed him off and Killmonger. It kills me. That is the worst decision, and this is why I don't really like the movie. One could argue Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger, one of the best, if not the best villain that you've seen in a movie. I would only say maybe Loki and, of course, Thanos is better of a villain, but that's still top 3, and they kept Thanos and Loki around for a lot of movies. Now, the rumor is Black Panther 2, they're going to bring Michael B. Jordan back, probably through some multiverse bullshit, which is fine. I don't care. As long as he's back, he's back. But putting aside Michael B. Jordan, Chadwick Boseman, and just for what it is on the surface, it being a person of color movie about superheroes for Marvel with this budget, with everything, black director, I understand the importance of it. The movie kind of sucked. You strip away all that and look at it purely as a movie. Ooh, the last fighting scene when they're falling in that mountain has some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in a Marvel movie. Those fucking CGI rhinos were goddamn awful. And just some of what was happening in the movie itself didn't really add up, didn't make a lot of sense. So the movie as a whole, not that good. Not that good. The movie as a whole, I'd probably give it like a C-. When it got nominated for Best Movie for the Oscars, it was hailed as like a crowning achievement in filmmaking, which on the surface, I can understand that viewpoint. However, if you're being objective here and looking at all the Marvel movies as a whole, it was all just kind of ordinary and kind of just blah. Anyway, so hope that doesn't get me canceled. But I think we can close up here. We didn't get to everything I wanted to talk about, but hey, Sometimes it's the way the cookie crumbles. I love y'all. Hope y'all take it sleazy. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. I'm excited for the new What If episode tonight with, ironically, Killmonger. Dark chocolate peanut butter cups are the best.